New Hampshire has a long history of a good relationship with water, from both how and where we settled our towns and cities to where and how we have used the water in our industries. In the previous video, we discussed some of the historical impacts on water in our state. In this video, we'll be looking at some of the current, more recent impacts and potential impacts on water in New Hampshire. Septic tank systems are the largest of all contributors of wastewater to the ground and are the most frequently reported sources of groundwater contamination in the United States. Bacteria, viruses, and parasites, including worms and protozoans, are the types of pathogens in wastewater that are hazardous to humans. Fungi can cause skin, eye, and respiratory infections, also grow in sewage and sewage sludge. These bacteria and viruses may be transported very rapidly and could contaminate nearby drinking water supplies or recreational surface water. In a similar way, leaks from underground storage tanks at service stations and locations with fueling stations have polluted groundwater as these tanks become old and porous. Multiple sites in New Hampshire and the U.S. have been targeted for cleanup. The question remains, how many of these sites have gone undetected thus far? Arsenic is a semi-metallic element. It is odorless and tasteless. It enters drinking water supplies from natural deposits in the earth or from agricultural and industrial practices. Some people who drink water containing arsenic in excess of recommended levels for many years could experience skin damage or problems with their circulatory system and may have an increased risk in getting cancer. You'll note from the graphic, as many as 40% of New Hampshire towns and cities have detectable arsenic levels in their drinking water. Thus, it is really important for all private well owners to have their water tested regularly for arsenic and for fecal coliform bacteria. Accelerating development and increasing impervious surfaces in our watersheds are causing deterioration of our surface waters. The volume and frequency of stormwater runoff is increasingly more damaging to aquatic systems. Climate change is altering our weather and our environment. As you will see from this chart, multiple pollutants enter our watershed via surface runoff. These are exacerbated by hard impervious surfaces like asphalt and concrete, which dominate much of the surfaces in our cities and towns. One such pollutant that we may not often think about is road salt or sodium chloride. New Hampshire winters demand an effective and affordable means of de-icing roadways. The primary agent used for this purpose is road salt, which is composed of sodium ions and chloride ions. The sodium chloride and other impurities make their way into our environment through the runoff from rain, melting snow, and ice, as well as through splash and spray by vehicles and by wind. They find their way onto vegetation and into the soil, groundwater, storm drains, and surface waters, causing significant impact to the environment. Chloride is completely soluble and very mobile. Chloride is toxic to aquatic life and impacts vegetation and wildlife. There's no natural process by which chlorides are broken down, taken up, or removed from the environment. In 2008, New Hampshire listed 19 water bodies as impaired by chloride. In 2010, that number had increased to 40. Trends show that chloride levels continue to rise with increasing use of road salt. The transport of sodium in the environment is not as prominent as chloride. However, it can alter soil chemistry by replacing and releasing nutrients into the groundwater and surface waters, such as calcium. Contamination of sodium in drinking water is a concern for individuals who might suffer from high blood pressure. Wildlife is also prone to high sodium levels by ingesting salt or drinking water runoff from snow and ice melt. Other potential components and impurities of road salts can include many heavy metals as well as aluminum, potassium, and calcium. Buffers are the single most effective protection for surface waters from runoff. Buffers are usually composed of various gravels and soils and plants that act to filter out polluted runoff, providing a transition zone between water and human land use, and provide habitat and improve stream communities they shelter. Climate change is occurring here in New Hampshire and around the world. Local weather records indicate that spring is arriving earlier, summers are growing hotter, winters are becoming warmer and less snowy. These weather changes will impact our aquatic resources. Some species may not be able to tolerate the warmer water temperatures. Warmer weather will extend the water recreation season, and more people will use our water, seeking relief from increasing temperatures. Droughts may occur with greater frequency and duration, stressing those surface waters that supply drinking water. Storm events are expected to be more severe and frequent, contributing greater volumes of nutrient-laden waters into our lakes and rivers through flooding, through flooding events. So, in conclusion, although impacts on New Hampshire water and water supplies may not be as obvious as those in the past, they are by no means any less serious. Only through careful diligence and long-term planning will our plentiful but limited resource be protected and continue to be enjoyed for generations to come.